The Mysterious Phone. A True Horror Story. Introduction. The town of Ashwood was known for its serenity, tucked away from bustling cities, with cobblestone streets and quaint shops lining its main square. Among these was a peculiar second-hand electronics store called Timeless Treasures. Its dimly lit interior was a maze of outdated gadgets, from typewriters to gramophones. Clara Matthews, a 27-year-old graphic designer, had recently moved to Ashwood to escape the chaos of city life. Her new apartment, a cozy loft above a bakery, was nearly perfect, except for the silence. She missed the hum of activity and decided to explore the town for something unique to give her space character. Her search led her to Timeless Treasures, where her eyes landed on a vintage rotary phone. It was an oddity, with a black base that gleamed like polished onyx and an almost hypnotic shimmer around the receiver. "That one's not for everyone," the shopkeeper, an elderly man with a crooked posture, warned. "Strange things seem to happen around it." Clara chuckled nervously. "Well, it's just a phone, right?" The man's expression darkened. "That phone came from the Blackwood estate, burnt down years ago. If you take it, don't say I didn't warn you." Brushing off his words as an attempt to spook her, Clara bought the phone and carried it home, unaware of the nightmare she had invited into her life. Chapter 1. The First Call. That evening, Clara placed the phone on her nightstand. It fit perfectly, adding a nostalgic charm to her otherwise modern decor. Exhausted, she went to bed early, enjoying the peaceful hum of her new town. At exactly 2 a.m., the phone rang. Clara jolted awake, her heart pounding. She stared at the phone in disbelief. Who would call her on this old thing? It wasn't even connected to a landline. Hesitantly, she picked up the receiver. "Hello?" A faint, static-filled voice whispered her name. "Clara?" Her blood ran cold. "Who is this?" The line went dead. Shaking, Clara placed the receiver back. She told herself it must have been a dream or some odd malfunction, but the unease lingered as she drifted back to sleep. The next night, the phone rang again. Chapter 2. The Whispering Voice. This time, Clara was prepared. She had unplugged the phone, convinced it wouldn't ring again, but at 2 a.m., the shrill sound pierced through her apartment. She froze, staring at the phone in disbelief. Trembling, she picked it up. "Clara, you can't hide," the voice whispered. "Who are you? What do you want?" she demanded, her voice cracking. "You'll see soon," it hissed before the line went silent. Panic set in. Clara spent the next day researching rotary phones, looking for logical explanations. None of it made sense. She decided to return the phone to the shop, but when she arrived, the shopkeeper wasn't there, and the store was locked. Chapter 3. Shadows in the Dark. The calls continued each night, always at 2 a.m. The voice revealed unsettling details about Clara's life. The name of her childhood dog, the color of her bedroom walls growing up, even the lullaby her mother used to sing. Worse still, shadows began to appear in her apartment. At first, they were fleeting, dark shapes darting across her peripheral vision, but soon they grew bolder, lingering in corners or reflected in mirrors. Clara's nights became sleepless. She tried to destroy the phone, smashing it with a hammer and even setting it on fire. But each morning, it reappeared on her nightstand, as pristine as ever. Chapter 4. The Blackwood Estate. Desperate for answers, Clara delved into the phone's origins. She visited the local library, poring over old newspapers. The Blackwood Estate, where the phone had come from, had been home to the Blackwood family, prominent figures in Ashwood until their mysterious deaths. Each family member had received chilling phone calls predicting their deaths. The estate burned down soon after, killing everyone inside. The phone was one of the few items recovered. Clara's blood ran cold as she realized the similarities. The phone wasn't just an object, it was a curse. Chapter 5. Seeking Help. Clara reached out to a paranormal expert, a middle-aged woman named Evelyn, who had dealt with haunted artifacts. Evelyn examined the phone and immediately sensed its malevolence. "This phone is a conduit," Evelyn explained. "It connects this world to something darker. The spirit attached to it feeds on fear." "How do I get rid of it?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. "You don't. The more you fear it, the stronger it becomes. You must confront it, resist its pull." Evelyn's words offered little comfort. That night, the phone rang again. Chapter 6. The Final Call. This time, the voice was different, clearer, more insistent. "Clara, it's time," it said. "Time for what?" she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Dial your number." "What?" "Dial your number or your loved ones will pay." The threat paralyzed her. Clara tried to resist, but the voice grew louder, more menacing. Shadows filled her apartment, their dark tendrils reaching for her. Terrified, Clara dialed her own number. The line connected. On the other end, she heard her own voice, sobbing and pleading. "Don't do it. Don't let it win." Before she could respond, the call ended, and the shadows engulfed her. Epilogue. Days later, Clara's friends reported her missing. When authorities entered her apartment, they found it empty except for the phone, its receiver off the hook. The phone was eventually sold to another curious buyer at Timeless Treasures. Moral. The story serves as a chilling reminder to heed warnings and confront fear rather than succumb to it. Curiosity, unchecked, can lead to dire consequences, especially when dealing with forces beyond comprehension.